Hello everyone and welcome to the CarAlarm podcast. My name is Alex and I will be reviewing Extreme Rules 2018 WWE pay-per-view for both Raw and SmackDown. Now, I'm going to use my rating system that I introduced on this past episode of NXT, except I'm going to tweak it a bit. I'll have a rating for each segment and or match if they're significant enough. And just like NXT, no segment or match would have a maximum in what their rating can be. So there's no 4 out of 5 stars, there's no max, because I don't think it should be possible to break a maximum. So if a match is better, it will have a higher number. And the higher the number, the better the match. In general, I don't want this to be taken too seriously. It's just a loose rating system for some structure on the show and an easy way to tally up roughly what I thought was some of the best matches WWE has had on either the card and things like that. Match of the night. And I thought it'd be fun. I made some new graphics for it, so that will be displayed as well as the rating as soon as I begin to review each segment. And after the match, after I run down a few things about what happened, I'll be a little more in-depth here on the pay-per-view reviews than I will be on Raw or SmackDown. And NXT's a shorter show, so I figure I'd go a little more in-depth with those as well. So, kicking things off, Extreme Rules, the Leader of Worlds versus the B-Team for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Now, the match started off as an average, even back and forth for the first few minutes until the B-Team uses a referee distraction to gain the advantage shortly on Matt Hardy. They double team him for a little while before Matt makes the hot tag to Bray Wyatt and they gain control over the B-Team for a short amount of time. Before they could hit their tag team finisher, Curtis Axel distracts Bray Wyatt, and Bo Dallas pushes Matt into Bray, sending him to the outside of the ring, letting Bo Dallas hit Matt with his vertical neck breaker to win the tag titles. I guess that's what it is, a vertical neck breaker. So, yeah, the B-Team are now Raw Tag Team Champions for the first time ever. I think this is Curtis Axel's second tag team title run, I guess now. I gave it a 1.5 because I think the match maybe was 10 minutes, if that. Nothing special in the ring. No, jump out of your seat moments. I guess maybe for some the finish will be that, but I guess it served its purpose as being certainly not the best match on the card. On a card full of mediocre matches, to be honest. As far as going from here, I guess Matt and Bray will get their rematch at either Monday Night Raw or Extreme Rules, probably both. Or, not Extreme Rules, whatever the next pay-per-view is. Probably both. I would assume they'll win it back clean. Maybe not. Maybe they will lose again, and then it will force Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy to actually use their characters to do something interesting, which hopefully could be good. Next up, we have Finn Balor versus Constable Baron Corbin. Balor starts off in control before it quickly switches to Baron Corbin, and it stays that way for a while. Every chance Balor has to fight back and get out of it, he gets knocked right back down. Many minor moves, a few rest holds, a right hand, a choke slam backbreaker, deep 6 and 2 failed coup de grace later, and Finn Balor wins with an inside cradle. This match was kind of a sleeper. I think of all the matches rated on this show, it is rated the lowest from me. And the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of confident in that rating. Very, very mediocre in the in-ring stuff. Pretty boring to be honest, nothing. I guess there were a few spots that were kind of. It picked up the pace a little, but it really didn't get any more interesting. And then Balor winning with the inside cradle really solidified this match into forgettable, I guess. So, yeah, I gave it a 1. Which, spoiler, is the lowest rating on the whole card. But some other matches come close. Next up, we have Carmella versus Asuka with James Ellsworth in a shark cage. This match is for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So Asuka starts off the match with some quick strikes, but as soon as Carmella gets a move in, which I think was a suplex, Ellsworth passes her a chain from his shark cage, which is about 10 or so feet above the ring. Asuka stands on it before Carmella gets a chance to grab it, and the referee prevents her from using it. Carmella attempts to spray Asuka with whatever she had in that bottle from SmackDown Live, but it doesn't work. Asuka no-sells it and continues the striking offense. James Ellsworth begins picking the lock on the shark cage. He escapes it, but some little tassel or handkerchief or something on his boots gets caught in the grate of the shark cage, and he just kind of hangs there upside down after he opens the door successfully, giving Asuka the chance to just repeatedly kick him over and over and over. Some officials enter to fix the shark cage and place James Ellsworth back in it, according to the announcers, but before they could, Asuka stops them and continues kicking James Ellsworth. Carmella pushes Asuka into the shark cage for the 1, 2, 3 and the championship retention. As you can see, I gave this a 1.5. I thought, and I mean, every match since my rating began is kind of going off of Adam Cole versus Danny Burch. The way I did the totaling, or the tallying, I guess, for the NXT show, was I just added them all. But I think this time around and moving forward, I'm going to find the average rating in all the matches, because it really just makes more sense. I'm not sure why I didn't do that the first time. Anyway, I knew Asuka wouldn't walk out of this as champion. The shark cage thing really hasn't been that interesting. The Chris Jericho match, I think it was Kevin Owens versus I don't even remember who, and Jericho was in a shark cage. I think Roman, maybe, or Big Cass. I don't remember. But regardless, the shark cage stipulation really isn't that exciting to me, but this was pretty quick. Carmella retained very abruptly and anticlimactically, but you know, it is what it is. Pretty mediocre still, but more entertaining than Corbin versus Balor for sure, as much as I love Finn Balor. Next we have Jeff Hardy versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship. Jeff Hardy's face paint looks fantastic. Shinsuke Nakamura's music is fantastic. Both of them are great wrestlers. As soon as they get to the ring, Shinsuke delivers a low blow. And then as soon as the bell rings, Nakamura hits a Kinshasa, gets the 1, 2, 3, and is the new United States Champion. I think about the match was maybe 2 seconds. That might being a little bit lenient on it. So there you go. Nakamura wins the United States Championship in 2 seconds. And immediately afterwards, Randy Orton's music hits. He makes his way down to the ring. He stares down Shinsuke Nakamura, who escaped. And I think he was standing on the announce table. He grabs Jeff Hardy as if he would go for an RKO, but Snap nares him to the ground. And then stomps his crotch and just walks away. How disrespectful can Shinsuke and Orton be? Implication-wise, I don't really know. Obviously, Randy Orton turned heel. I don't think there will be an alliance between Orton or Shinsuke. There's no evidence of that. It seems we're going to predictably get a triple threat. predictably, after Randy Orton came out, not saying that I predicted this, I probably should mention that I did not post a Extreme Rules predictions video. I didn't get a chance to get around to that. But, hey, I'm here for the review. I gave this match a 2 because while it was very, very short and a little disappointing in the fact that I didn't get to see Shinsuke versus Jeff Hardy, which was one of the matches I was more looking forward to on this card, I thought it did a good job of showing how not necessarily desperate Shinsuke is, but just willing to do anything to get a championship. And he did. He low blow Jeff Hardy, Kinshasa, 1, 2, 3. Not sure what Randy Orton's place in this all was, but overall the segment was pretty entertaining, and I have a few questions leading out. So I will be a little more interested into SmackDown Live, which was clearly the purpose of this whole segment and match. Next we have Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens in a steel cage match. Their feud has been one of the better things on Monday Night Raw for the past few weeks, to say a month or so. I think that's how long it's been going. Kevin Owens enters the cage very reluctantly as he makes his way down. As soon as the bell rings, he tries to escape, but is stopped by Braun Strowman, who takes control for a while before a cannonball and a frog splash stop him. Kevin Owens tries to escape the door before being stopped once again. The match is pretty much one-sided in Braun's favor for a little while, as Owens delivers a little bit of offense here and there, until Kevin Owens gets to handcuff Braun Strowman to the top rope. Owens beats on Braun a bit, trash-talking him, but eats a chokeslam shortly afterwards. Braun is still tied to the top rope with handcuffs. Kevin Owens starts to climb the cage. Braun Strowman rips the handcuffs off the rope, breaking them in half, climbs up with him. They are both standing on the top of the steel cage, and Braun Strowman chokeslams Kevin Owens through the announce table from the top of the steel cage. Kevin Owens is taken out on a stretcher. Braun walks away. Owens is declared victorious. I gave this match a 3.0. Not a long steel cage match, but it wasn't a perfect steel cage match either, but I thought it was pretty entertaining. So far the best match I've used in this rating system is the tag team match on NXT between Mustache Mountain and the Undisputed Era, and I'm not taking that lightly. I think in order to live up to that match, which was very good, they're gonna have to be better than this. I gave it a 3 because it was definitely better than anything thus far on the show, and if not boosted by that chokeslam spot through the table, which had to be horrific for both of them internally and mentally, it maybe this match would have gotten a 2.5 or something, maybe even a 2. I don't like to think it'd be that low though. It was rather entertaining the whole way through, but a really cherry on the top at the end. Next we have the Bludgeon Brothers. The Bludgeon Brothers. Can never get that out properly. First take. Versus Team Hell No, Kane and Daniel Bryan. So we are shown a clip from earlier in the night. I do not watch the kickoff show most ever. I know this time they said Sanity and New Day had a match and Sanity won, which is great. And I don't know if this was shown on the kickoff or not, but Harper and Rowan attacked Kane and Daniel Bryan backstage, leaving Kane with an injured leg after using one of their bludgeons to wedge Kane's leg in between a door and hit it with the big old hammer that they carry. Daniel Bryan enters by himself to face both Bludgeon Brothers in a handicap match for the titles. Daniel Bryan takes on Eric Rowan to start. Then he gets the best of Luke Harper, but Rowan saves him. Bryan is thrown into the steps and Bludgeon Brothers take control for a good while. Kane enters wearing a leg brace on the lower part of his leg, his calf, shin, and ankle. I don't remember if it was just for his ankle or if it was for his calf or whatever they said, but Kane enters, gets tagged in to even some things up. Daniel Bryan eventually retags and beats down Harper, but Rowan makes a tag unseen by Daniel Bryan, and the Bludgeon Brothers hit their tag team finisher to retain, which is that assisted clothesline. I gave this match a 2.0 because I didn't think Bludgeon Brothers would lose their championships. I figured the match would be fine. I didn't expect any kind of before the match beatdown, even though I guess I should have. But in the ring, it was kind of short. It was fine. Just nothing too special there, so I didn't feel like... I feel like 2 is a good middle of the road kind of rating based on what I've given, and since the height thus far is 4, that being the tag team match from NXT. Next up is Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley, which I was happily surprised to see was not the main event. Bobby started out by out-wrestling Roman Reigns before an elbow and a drive-by gave Reigns control. Roman Reigns beats up Bobby Lashley at ringside for a little while against the barricade and such, and runs him into the steel stairs. Roman nearly hit Bobby with the stairs, but was stopped. So I had a few questions about this. Roman Reigns, this isn't an Extreme Rules match, keep in mind. This is just a normal match. Roman Reigns just went for a big old hit with the steel stairs to Bobby Lashley as if disqualifications didn't matter. If Roman Reigns were to do that, Bobby Lashley would have won the match right then and there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a number 1 contenders match for the championship Roman Reigns has been trying to earn if it kills him. So I don't really understand that thing. That absolutely confused me. But regardless, the match evens out for a bit, with the two trading clotheslines of all sorts in the corner and standing. Lashley gains control after a power slam, but is thrown hard over the top rope and barely makes the 10 count back to the ring. Roman Reigns kicks out of Bobby Lashley's vertical suplex. Reigns goes for a spear while Lashley is leaned against the announce table, but Bobby Lashley catches him and hits an over-the-head belly-to-belly onto the announce table to Roman Reigns, which honestly looked better than I thought it would. I think it was Brock who tried to hit an over-the-head belly-to-belly to, I want to say, either CM Punk or AJ, and it did not end well. So this did, and I'm happy about that. Roman Reigns Superman punches Bobby Roode off the top rope when they get back to the ring, goes for a spear, but Bobby Lashley counters with a spear of his own for the surprise victory. I gave this match a 2.3. It was better than I thought. I gotta say, I thought this would be a bit of a sleeper. I know I probably shouldn't have, given how good Roman Reigns is and how good Bobby Lashley can be, but I really just thought nothing of it. I think the fact that the feud has been bland and the unearned main event spot for the two, I think those two thoughts kind of bogged me down as far as hype. But I thought the match served a pretty good purpose. I think looking back, maybe I would have given it a higher review. Maybe a 2.5 is better. But all that said, it was pretty middle of the road. I think it's just pretty average match. No big moves really, except for the over-the-head belly-to-belly and the spear. A confusing bit with the steel stairs, I think, knocked it down a little bit for me. And some rest spots that weren't too hot to watch. But overall, I think it was alright. I don't think Bobby Lashley will win the Universal title. I can tell you that. I think this is taking place at SummerSlam. I'm not really sure, but and who knows, maybe it'll end up being a triple threat. Regardless of who faces them, I can say that I hope Braun Strowman walks in there with a briefcase and walks out with the WWE World or Universal Championship. Whatever night Lesnar defends it on. Just get it off of him. Next we have Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's title. This is an Extreme Rules match. I think the only one on the card, actually. Natalya is at ringside for Nia Jax, and Mickie James is at ringside for Alexa Bliss. So in the early on goings of the match, Alexa Bliss evades Nia Jax and is handed several weapons by Mickie James constantly. But as Alexa Bliss tries to use them, Nia Jax grabs them and tosses them right into the ring. Nia takes control and eventually slamming Alexa Bliss into a trash can. But a few moments later, Alexa Bliss takes control back after some shots with the trash can lid, but it's short-lived. James and Natalya start fighting outside, but Alexa Bliss goes to help Mickie James, and together they jump Natalya for a few seconds before Ronda Rousey, who was in the crowd with her little group in the corner, close to the announce table area, jumps the barricade and begins beating down Mickie James all on her own. I guess Alexa Bliss was distracted by still beating down Natalya or afraid of Ronda Rousey. After Mickie James is taken care of, she stares down Alexa Bliss, chases her around the ring, but Mickie James fires back with a kendo stick, and together they beat down Ronda Rousey, head back into the ring, beat down Nia Jax with some steel chairs. Alexa Bliss hits her DDT onto the steel chair for the victory. That last part got a little bit chaotic there for me to say, but I gave it a 1. Now, the match, this is going to sound a little harsh, but I honestly think it was pretty garbage. This is tying with, it's just, this match makes me kind of happy that no other match on the card was an Extreme Rules match, because it was just a weapons orgy, for lack of a better term, and most of the weapons weren't used frequently enough or just enough at all to be considered a aspect in the match, I guess. Maybe that's not the way to put it, but either way you go, it really just wasn't much. It wasn't very exciting. The weapons kind of give it a coat of fake excitement, I think, but if used just randomly and for no purpose, even though the kendo stick, I guess, is Alexa Bliss's signature weapon at this point, it really just, none of it was that great to me. Not to mention Mickie James kind of no-selling Ronda Rousey's finishing move, which, whatever. As far as where they go from here, I'm sure Ronda Rousey is set up to face Alexa Bliss next, or it'll be a triple threat. I don't know. I don't really care too much. I hope Ronda Rousey gets the championship, because every time I see her on my TV, in a match at least, it is absolutely fun to watch. In the best way possible, not in the Michael Cole way. It is so entertaining and intense, and it's really great. Man, do I regret underestimating her when she first showed up. Next is Rusev versus AJ Styles, which I expected to be the main event, for the WWE World Championship. I say I expected after I saw Roman versus Lashley, but this wasn't the main event. Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins is the main event, which I'll get to in a little bit. So AJ Styles starts off the match focusing kicks on Rusev's leg, with Rusev hitting a power move in between, every few kicks. He gains control after a spine buster before the match evens out for a little while. AJ goes for a calf crusher, but Rusev reverses into an accolade. Then AJ escapes, and after a few moves, locks it in again. Aiden English pushes the rope towards Rusev, helping him get the rope break. No need to tap. Styles chases Aiden English around the ring for a bit, but Rusev catches him with a belly-to-belly on the outside, throws him in the ring, and hits a Machka kick for a close 2 count. He goes for another Machka kick, but AJ hits a Pele. Rusev hits another Machka kick and tries for the accolade, but his leg is too hurt to lock the full move in, letting AJ get to the ropes. English tears the top turnbuckle cover off. Rusev sends AJ into the corner. AJ dodges a corner move from Rusev, letting Rusev hit his head on the exposed steel before a springboard 450 got another very close 2 count. AJ drop kicked Aiden English off the top rope, hit a phenomenal forearm to Rusev, and retained the WWE World Championship. I gave it the highest match of the night, the highest rating of the night, at 3.5, because I thoroughly enjoyed the match. Of course, I don't think it was as good as the NXT tag match, which I'm just going to have to keep bringing up, because this early on in my ratings, I think it's important to just try to keep everything consistent. I know I won't be completely consistent, and I'm fine with that. I'm not really trying to be super strict. I'm not the biggest fan of really strict rating systems, or a 5-star system that doesn't really mean anything when it's above 5 stars. So, you know, you don't have to take this too seriously. I'm not going to take it too seriously. Maybe a 3.5 is a little bit too high for it. But it was very exciting. There were several close pinfalls. Rusev's first Machka kick was great. Excuse me. The accolade tease was great. It all worked out for a pleasant match experience, I think. And I would definitely watch it again on a slow day. I had no expectations that Rusev would win the championship here. When he hit the Machka kick, I honestly was just okay with it. I figured if he did win it, he would lose it back sometime in the near future to AJ or, I don't know, Daniel Bryan, somebody. But nevertheless, AJ is still the cover boy for WWE, so even with that in the back of my head, I still had a little bit of hope for Rusev winning. Not disappointed at all that AJ wins. He deserves that championship, and yeah, I guess that's all I got to say about that. Well, I guess as far as next opponents AJ will have, I'm not really sure. I guess Sanity would be fun. Someone from there. Killian Dane, that'd be fun to see. Or Eric Young. Anybody from there. Yeah, I don't know who else would challenge AJ at this point. I don't know. I'd say I'd like to see one of the members of Sanity go for it. Next up, we have the main event: Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler in a 30-minute Iron Man match for the Intercontinental Championship, with Drew McIntyre allowed at ringside. So, for a good portion of this match, I'm not going to be quite as in-depth with the wrestling as I was before, and I know that wasn't very in-depth. But I'm gonna kind of rattle off the first few falls, because within the first 15 minutes of this match, 7 falls took place. Pinfalls. I don't think any of them were submissions. So let's go over those. The two start off with some basic wrestling and some roll-ups around the ring. Rollins hits a buckle bomb and then an inside cradle for the first fall. Dolph Ziggler is in control for a bit before Seth Rollins reverses a sunset flip into a curb stomp for the second fall, and frustrated, Drew McIntyre attacks Seth Rollins in the ring, throws him around the outside against the barricade and against the apron. He hits a Claymore when they get back into the ring, and Rollins gets the third fall by disqualification. So the score is currently 3-0 Rollins. Dolph Ziggler pins Seth to get the fourth fall off Drew McIntyre's attacks. Ziggler then hits a super kick for the fifth fall, almost evening the score at 2-3, and he does even the score with a zigzag right after the fifth fall. Dolph Ziggler gets his fourth point by pinning Seth Rollins with his feet on the ropes, getting a bit of leverage there illegally. The ref honestly was in a pretty good spot to see it, but whatever. So the score is Dolph Ziggler 4, Seth Rollins 3, and the match really actually gets going at this point. After a back and forth, Dolph gets a sleeper hold in, but Seth Rollins breaks out and hits 2 suicide dives. Dolph drop kicks Seth to the outside, but then beats the count and hits his ripcord knee for a 2 count. Rollins hits his superplex Falcon Arrow for another 2 count, gets a sunset flip cover to score 4 falls. Covered to tie the scores at 4 falls each with 3 minutes remaining in the match. Seth Rollins gives a sharpshooter, then a crossface to run the clock down. He goes for a curb stomp within a minute less, but Dolph Ziggler moves and tries to run. Rollins catches him, then eats a famouser for a close 2 count with 40 seconds left on the clock. Dolph Ziggler goes for a super kick but eats one from Seth instead. Seth hits the curb stomp but can't get to the cover in time before the clock runs out, so Dolph Ziggler retains as the match ends in a 4-4 tie. Kurt Angle comes out, says that the match will now be a sudden death overtime. The next fall wins. As soon as the bell rings, Drew McIntyre jumps on the apron, distracting Seth Rollins. Rollins goes for him, giving the chance to Dolph Ziggler so he could hit the zigzag for the pin and the win. I gave this match a 3. I think that's fair. 30 minutes was too long for this match, frankly. There were too many falls, I think. Where was this fall in the almost 30 minutes they wrestled on Monday Night Raw? It took them that long to beat each other once, so I don't know. But regardless, it was fine. I thought it was pretty good. The ending was the end of the countdown to the end of the clock till the match runs out is always, at least it should always be, a really entertaining part. I think what they could have done better is have Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler absolutely destroy Seth Rollins before the bell and as soon as the bell rings, just stacking up disqualification points for Seth Rollins. And then stacking up points for Dolph Ziggler, giving a disqualification point to Seth Rollins, and then Seth Rollins can try to work his way to climb back up throughout the match, and maybe they can tie at the end still. Rollins coming so close. Oh, I forgot to mention also, Drew McIntyre got ejected from ringside after the beatdown that he did on Seth. So you could do that again there after the beatdown that time. But at least you wouldn't have this weird back and forth with the point system that really wasn't very entertaining or necessary at all. And the way I said you could have a climb. Say Ziggler has 3 points and Rollins would have 1. He'd have to try to work his way back up to the points and work very hard forward. And then he finally gets that third fall. The clock runs out. So Kurt Angle comes out, starts the match over, and you have an actual match, not just a bit of a tease. With that being said, I still gave it a 3. I thought it was entertaining enough. I'm glad they got the main event spot. I don't think this was as good as their Monday Night Raw match. I don't think this is as good as it should have been or could have been. But that's the show. The overall show rating is a 2.8. I tallied up all the scores and divided by 10. So there is my first official overall show rating. And it is Extreme Rules 2018. If you enjoyed listening, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more podcasts and reviews such as this. And I'm going to try to be experimenting with some more types of videos. I found some really interesting stuff at the store the other day, WWE related, and I thought I might share that sometime soon in a video. But yeah, if you enjoyed watching, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all those things. If you want to hear more, please listen every week. I will still be reviewing Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, and trying to do some videos in between. This has been CarAlarm. Thanks for watching.